everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this pop-up flap card. You pull the bottom and it flaps up and the greeting pops out, so it's like wah, wah, hello, how are you? So it's quite an easy card to make. However, when I watched a couple of videos to get the idea for this card, and there was a couple of times I thought, wait, what? And I had to go back and sort of look again and figure it out. So as you know, the directions and dimensions are always on my blog, and what I've done for this card is I have made just computer paper, scratch paper templates, and I'm going to show you how it is as we go along. The concept of when I do videos is that I want to make them simple enough that even beginner stampers could potentially follow along and get that lovely sense of enjoyment when it's done. So I worry sometimes that I'm doing it to the point almost of being condescending and insulting people's intelligence. But believe me, that my main purpose is to try and make it as easy as I possibly can. There's no insult intended. If you already know how to do that, you just go, oh, I know that part. Oh, I feel great now because, oh, I know how to do that. Oh, that's lovely. But I must always remember there are people out there who don't. So hopefully this makes everything that I show you how to do doable on all levels. Anyway, that little disclaimer said, let's get on with making this lovely card. So it starts with a quarter sheet of cardstock. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 in pretty pink. And that fits into a standard medium envelope and goes in the post, no problem. 2 pieces of designer series paper. It's 4 by 7 1/2, scored at 3 1/2. So that folds over, and this one is 4 by 4 3/4, and it's scored at 1 5/8. So that folds over. They are actually the main body of the card. There is a piece of basic white, which is 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. That's the piece that goes on the inside for you to write your greeting. So I suppose we can say it's 4 main pieces. So what we need to do is bring in a piece of basic white cardstock, and I will show you, these are the flowers which are on the front. Here's one I made earlier. You know how that goes. This little piece of basic white was cut using the nested dies, and then I used the Flowers of Beauty stamps, which coordinate with the Unbounded Beauty Designer Series paper, and I'll just show you quickly how we get that 2-step look with it, with only 1 ink color. So I'm going to bring in the Petunia Pop, and I'm going to bring in the main body of the flower. And then what we do is we stamp it. I think this is upside down. So we stamp it full strength on the ink and stamp it off on a scratch of paper. So when we stamp it on, either onto the card or onto a piece of paper to be die cut, it's a lighter refrain. And then what we can do is we can take the overlay section and ink that up full strength. So when we put it on top, we've got 2-step stamping using 1 color. So one gets stamped off and stamped onto the paper, and the other one just gets stamped on full strength. And I'll just do it again quickly with the leaves so you get a grasp for that concept. So I'm going to use Shy Shamrock. So I'm going to stamp the outline of the leaves. So doing it the other way. So we'll stamp the outline first in full strength, and then we'll take the inside part, stamp it off once, and then when we stamp it inside, it's what you call a second generation, and you can see it's 2 colors from 1 ink. And then actually, while I have got the inks out and the stamps, we might as well just go ahead and stamp hello onto little Unbounded. So this came out really quite strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same concept again. If you've got a strong ink and you don't want it to be quite that powerful, especially when you've got a little bit of a pastel look nearby, so we're just going to stamp it on the scratch paper and then stamp it on the main one and you get a lighter colour. So that was fairly easy of how to do that. So we'll pop those out the way, pop this out the way, and then we will get on making the card. So this I'm going to put away for a little bit later. So how do we get this card put together? So I brought in the pieces that I promised I would do. So here's the front piece. So it is 4 by 7.5 and it's scored at 3.5. That's pretty standard. And then it shows you fold the top, fold it down. So that's what I have done here. And then you've got the front piece, which is 4 by 4 3/4, scored at 1 5/8, and this folds down. So they were the main two pieces showing you how the designer series paper goes. The trick then comes when we get further into the shenanigans. So this is folded down. So remember this, here's the top. It matters more to keep a note of the top if your paper has a design. This one is kind of higgledy-piggledy, so it's not quite so important. But if it does have a direction, you need to make sure that you've cut it with long and tall and have the top. So you've folded it down. And here is the front. So here's the top. And this is the front. And we're going to put glue on the back, just on this piece. So let me bring in my rolling adhesive, and we're going to put glue everywhere because it needs to stay stuck. So this has folded down, that's this one, and then this has adhesive all the way on the back. And then you'll see this says the front goes here. Now what you need to remember is you need to put it down. You need to line up the bottom of it. So even though there's this little piece left over here, you need that for when it's doing the flapping. If it went to the top, it would have nowhere for it to flip over. So we've got the top and the bottom attached to each other. And like it says, this area is left clear. So far, so good. And then what we need to do is turn this over. And you can see where the fold line is. Here's the fold line. Sorry, confusing myself now with my Let Me Be Helpful paper. So this is the fold line. You've got the front attached to the inside so it looks like the card. Here is the fold line. And then what we need to do is have not all of this stuck on. And the recommendation was that you leave a 1/2 inch spacer. So I just brought in a 1/2 inch piece of the layers that we're always cutting off our cards. I mean, you could measure it, you could put little pencil ticks at the sides or however you want to do it. But then you have to bear in mind that this area is the only place where this card is going to be stuck down. And then what we need to do is put some really strong adhesive, perhaps tear and tape or liquid glue or something, and stick it just to here. So here's the fold line. See the fold line? And this is saying line up your fold line, put in your 1/2 inch spacer, and then attach it. Oh, that one's done. Good job I brought in a spare one. And then add another run of tear and tape. So we have tear and tape all the way along. And then what we need to do is peel off the backing of that tape. And this gets stuck down like a layer to the Pretty in Pink, which is the main cardstock body of the card. So now what you want to do is you want to have people pull this. So what you need is a little hole, as you can see in this one. We're going to just punch a little hole. I'm going to bring in an old oval punch, but you can use any punch that you have to hand, or you could just cut a little circle, or you could cut a little square. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to punch a little piece out of there, so there is a finger hole to grasp it on. And on this one I actually stamped pull onto the body of the card, but what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to get, I'm going to take the Pretty Petunia, put a little bit of scratch paper underneath, and I'm going to use pull, and this is actually from the Hanging Ornament. This stamp set is out of the new holiday mini catalogue, where you have to pull an ornament piece. So I'm going to put it like that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put adhesive along the back of this piece, and I'm going to stick it where it came out of so people can see it, and now they know to pull. And then we're going to build this lovely, here's one I made earlier, flowers. This one I actually put more of it to the right because I felt this piece of the designer series paper was almost too pretty to cover up. In this instance there's quite a lot of it around where the whole body of this would be, so I've got a little bit more leeway. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of the greenery, and then a little bit of adhesive on the back of the flowers. I don't want to go too far out because it's actually going to be put on with dimensionals. So I'll have, let me just move that more into the middle, and we will do it like that. And then we can turn it over and bring in the dimensionals. Peel the backing paper off quickly. And pop those on the front so they're slightly raised up. And then what we need to do is pop the inside little bit of basic white that we had, that was 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. Oops. So we'll pop that in near the top towards the fold line, towards the score, so it doesn't show at the bottom. And then last but not least, I am going to bring in my lovely sparkly in colour gems and pop a few on here. So we'll put one here, whoops, one down here, and one just so it's got a little bit of bling. So now you can see where you're supposed to pull. It reveals an area for a message, it pops up. Same card, I just wanted to show you the difference of how you can, depends which side of the designer series paper you choose. This one has the more Pretty in Pink side, is a little bit plainer on the inside, and this one has the floral design all the way through, which made it a little bit more important to put the basic white piece on the inside. So if you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing, give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate likes, they go a long way to helping my algorithm so I can bring more videos like this to you. As I mentioned already, of course, all the directions and dimensions will be on my blog. All of the templates will be there to help you each step of the way. I don't normally do it step by step, but this one, like I say, I so much wanted people to succeed at it. It was really quite important to me. So keep your eyes open. The holiday mini catalogue should be debuting quite soon. And last but not least, thanks so much for watching.